So Rachel, I have seen a wind of change in my practice when it comes to menstrual products. We have spoken with the likes of tampon liner companies and tampon companies and pads and menstrual panties. But, something that really is new and I think going to make a massive splash are menstrual cups. Reason being is that these are very different because number one, they collect menstrual fluid rather than absorb it. Number two, they are environmentally sustainable in most cases. And number three, the younger generation is hopefully becoming a lot more comfortable with their bodies so that insertion and removal is not so strikingly as it might have been in distant past. So I really am excited to speak with our next guest about a newer, novel approach to the menstrual cup.
Hilla Shaviv, who we're talking to, created Tulipon, is the CEO of Gals Bio. She has a very unique approach, as a scientist and understanding fluids and understanding mechanics. So what's interesting is you have to get your brain around this new idea of what she's creating, which is not a tampon, not a menstrual cup, kind of a combination that doesn't absorb, similar to a menstrual cup, it just collects. So there's so much to think about. What I get excited about is just how many more options there are. I mean, we're not saying anything new that the menstrual cup is on the market, but the increase in the interest has been substantial. And the period panties category did not exist 5-6 years ago. And now there are a number of competitors. Kimberly Clark acquired Thinx, which was one of the original period panties. So this idea of options that give you sustainability or the comfort you're looking for or the user experience, there just are so many more options.
Absolutely. And when you speak about the user experience, day-to-day practice suggests to me that there really isn't a big uptake in menstrual cup use, at least not in generations after maybe millennial, if you will. However, part of that was due to discomfort of insertion and removal. And this novel idea of using a tampon-like applicator to insert a menstrual cup and then removing it almost like a tampon, but making it a disposable option may really serve a couple of unmet needs. So it's exciting to hear about this. And remember, she's an engineer, so that's a whole different perspective when it comes to creating these products.
And the way I understand it is it sort of collapses when you insert it, it opens up when you place it, and then when you pull it out, it sort of folds in on itself. So there might be some real benefits in comfort in taking it out. But, that's one of the reasons I love doing this so much with you is there's just so many new ideas. I mean, for years and years and years, we had tampons and pads, and like a big innovation was putting wings on the pads. And then we had liners, and then we had liners for thongs. And now we have literally new categories that either didn't exist or were not known about or talked about in any great detail.
Welcome to the Business of the V. Hello, friends and colleagues. I'm Dr. Alyssa Dweck.
And I'm Rachel Braun-Scherl. Each week, we bring you the most fascinating investors, inventors, entrepreneurs, academics, and healthcare practitioners who are making things happen in women's sexual and reproductive health.
If you are a woman, know a woman, have a business, or care about your V health and wellness, fasten your seatbelts and listen in to another informative and inspiring episode.
We are so happy to welcome Hilla Shaviv today, who's the inventor, founder, and CEO of Gals Bio Limited. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we both had the opportunity to speak to you. You are another soldier in this menstrual fight. So we'd love to hear a little bit about how you came to start this company and what the products that you offer are, because you take a different approach given you have a different background.
Yeah, well, this project actually came about from a previous project I had. It was called the Biomedics. And around 2005, with an idea to have a new kind of tampon for women that treats dysmenorrhea. I'm a biomedical engineer, and all my research and all my education was focused on cardiology, basically blood flow. And once I started working, I had worked on this manual pump that you pump some liquid from the pleural cavity after open heart surgery. And that got me thinking, because this pump, the goal was to evacuate the debris, bone fragments, blood, liquid, whatever you have in the pleural cavity after surgery. So I said to myself, well, I have debris and and blood coming out from my body once a month. So maybe I can do something about it. And this is the beginning. That was around 2005, something like that. It took me 2 years to find my voice, to focus on a target.
My mind is full of ideas listening to you and all of your expertise. What is the unmet need in women's health that you are trying to meet? Is it menstrual flow and making a heavy flow easier to manage? Is it menstrual cramps? Is it both? Or because I did take a peek at your device and it looks super cool. It kind of looks like a combo between a tampon and a menstrual cup, which could solve a lot of problems.
So we are talking about two separate companies. So the first company, it had a similar name, but it had a different, completely different goal. Back then, what we tried to do is to alleviate dysmenorrhea, or what is widely known as menstrual pain. So that was our need, the need that we tried to solve. And we developed a device that never got to the market. We had very good clinical studies results, but at a certain point, we weren't able to find fundings.
So you came out of that startup and obviously took the learning into Gals Bio. So what was the sort of the nugget of learning, or the pieces you said, I've learned this in the last effort. This is what I know now and that I want to take into the development of Gals Bio?
Yeah, that was the feeling. The feeling was, yes, I'm already in this cavity. I'm way familiar with it. I've done one startup, so it would be easier to do another startup to raise funding. But the landscape changed a lot during this time. Today, people are looking for completely different things. So basically, it's like when I had my second child, I said, well, I already have one child. I have to have the second child, but it's not the same, because two children are completely different. So here it was the same. Two companies, completely different things, different problems, different atmosphere. So that was my thinking, but it's not exactly realized itself, except from the fact that really I have experience developing devices in the vaginal cavity.
That experience building products in the vaginal cavity, how did it give rise to Tulipon? Describe what it is, how it works, and how it might be different from some of the other options.
So this takes me back again to the first company. So one of the theories that we had there is that there is a connection between the menstrual effluent, the viscosity, and the rheological properties, and the pain. So basically what we did in 2007, we distributed a menstrual cup for women right here in Israel. And we started collecting menstrual fluid, and we started collecting documenting the pain, and we started to look for correlation between the menstrual viscosity and the pain. And basically, we are the first entity ever, far as I know, that ever researched the menstrual rheological properties in the world. And we also got our an article published about that work. And so this was the first time I ever saw a menstrual cup. I wasn't aware of menstrual cup before, so we use menstrual cups to collect the vaginal effluent. And then I saw menstrual cup and I said, wow, this is a great idea. I couldn't understand why isn't it more popular and women are not aware of it. And that made me think, if menstrual cup was disposable, easy to use, like a tampon, maybe that will facilitate women. We will help them do the switch to a menstrual cup.
So I have a question for you. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but just something that you said. So cramps or dysmenorrhea, you know, from a common sense standpoint, it seems that people who pass large clots will cramp a lot because, the uterus is attempting to expulse those cramps with contractions or muscular contractions. Naturally, that's going to hurt. When you use a menstrual cup, we're collecting blood rather than absorbing blood. And clots, of course, do not get easily absorbed. So isn't it just the mechanics of not having to try to absorb clots, but rather collect them that might just help with cramps? Or are you finding that there are actual differences in the chemicals of or the contents of menstrual blood that leads to more cramps for some people?
So we didn't test any chemistry. We only tested mechanics. So I'm a biomechanical engineer.
I know.
And yeah, definitely we found that there is a correlation between not only clots with debris, tissue. Like I have pictures of women that we could see, you can easily differentiate between clots and tissue fragments and by color. Actually, clots are easier to pass the cervical canal. What is causing more pain is actually the tissue, the debris. The tissue debris.
Sure.
And yeah, definitely. But this was never, as you said, this is very logical. I like to say it was written on the wall because you had all the indication, like there was a treatment in the past that taking women with severe menstrual pain, they can dilate their cervix and then you alleviate the pain. So, it's a fluid dynamic problem. And also another way to alleviate menstrual pain is by giving them pills. What do the pills do? They cause the tissue, the endometrial tissue, to be less thick. It's more thinner, so it comes out easily. So all the errors pointed about the mechanics.
Yes.
And what we did, we proved it. We proved it. Our scientific statistical correlation between not only, as I mentioned, not clot, but more of debris, tissue debris, and higher viscosity to pain was 99.9%. Like we also had usually menstrual pain is in the first 2 days. We had one subject that had her pain in the last day. So, and it was amazing. In all her first days, she didn't have anything, no clots, no tissue debris in her menses. But in the last day, she did. So that was amazing to see, we clearly showed that it is also a fluid dynamic problem. And I always like to give the ketchup similarity because you have to push the bubble in order to have ketchup come out. So the uterus has to push it and push it hard. And when you have something obstructing the nasal, so this is where the pain comes.
Did you have I don't know how many people were in your study that you published, but I would be curious whether women who have had vaginal deliveries might have less pain because their cervixes might already be a little bit more mechanically loose or relaxed than those who have had C-sections or not had children at all. Did you happen to notice that?
Yeah, we had women with after vaginal birth. And according to the literature, the cervical canal, we know that it changes its shape. Like cervix before, I'm sure you know that cervix before pregnancy, it's like circle, and then it turns to be like a moon. But still, we had women that did give vaginal birth. We also had women without vaginal birth. So it was various, and we had a very interesting result that some women didn't have clots or fragment at all. And we found a completely different consistency of the menses. It was more viscous.
So here's today's hot flash. By 2026, the global market for menstrual cups will approach $1 billion.
So
I'm going to jump in for a second, because a lot of the people listening are investors, they're entrepreneurs, they're business people.
This is the
right. So I want to focus on what you're working on now. So, you have decades of experience studying menstrual effluent. So in 2016, you created Gals Bio. What is that, and what problem is that meant to solve?
Okay, so as I mentioned, we use menstrual cup, and I realized that there is a need for women because tampons are not. This is not a good device. It leaks. It has TSS. It's not a full protection, and also pads. That is like going with a diaper and menstrual cup. You need to clean them. You need to wash them. It's a procedure. So this was the need in front of my eyes, and basically I like to call Tulipon is the love child of a tampon and a menstrual cup, and we added some more attributes, and basically the Tulipon here you can see this is
What is it made of? What is the material? Not of the applicator, but
all made from polymers. This is still we are still at a prototype phase. It's not in the final materials, but it will be made for completely biodegradable materials. We are now talking with different providers, and so we can give a holistic solution to the woman. It's for nighttime, it's for sleeping, it's for daytime exercising. It's like you put and you forget.
So for those who can't see what you're showing, because it's pretty fascinating to look at, this is almost like a tampon applicator that releases a small menstrual cup into the vagina. That's disposable. How is it removed? Because what we find here, at least in my practice, is that there's definitely a learning curve to putting in and removing a menstrual cup. In addition, there are different sizes required for women who have had kids or women who have a long or short cervix, etc. So how do you accommodate for that, or is this in different sizes? Or is it the applicator?
This will have different sizes, yes. Currently we have two, but we aspire to have more. To take it out, I don't know if you can say it. This is the string, so it's you take it out the same way as you take out a tampon. So it's completely, from that respect, it's completely different than a menstrual cup. Yes, especially the disc. This is I don't know. The disc is really it's a problem to take out. What's unique about Tulipon is when you pull the string, you actually activate a mechanism, two mechanisms. One is we have here a one-way valve that closes when we pull the string. So all the liquid that was collected actually stays inside even after we move it. So unlike a regular menstrual cup that the toilet can look like a murder scene eventually, here everything stays inside. And another attribute that we added, so this is collapsing. So it comes out from the body, not open as a menstrual cup. It actually collapses. So it's easier to take out and without causing any minimum problems.
So for people who, is this best suited for people who are, don't have exceptionally good or bad experiences with their period, or is it designed for people who have significantly heavy menstrual bleeding, or could it be used by all the above?
Well, basically, it's for menstruating women, people with menstruation. Since we need to focus, this is a too broad mark. In the beginning, we're going to focus on women with which are heavy bleeders. So women that have to change their tampons every 2 to 3 hours, women that work in hectic work, that they have to stand on their legs, students, people that have hectic days schedule. So we can provide them 12 hours of worry-free. You can trust us. I don't know about you, but the number of times that I went off an airplane and I saw the blood stain on the woman standing in front of me, it's like so many times it happened. So we want to eliminate that. Women do not need to go through distress or thinking over what's going on out there.
I have 2 things that really come to mind. First, with tampons, of course, we always advise in the gynecology world using the least absorbent flow for your flow, rather. That is to minimize the risk of TSS or toxic shock syndrome. But thankfully, toxic shock has really fallen by the wayside with the change in the absorbency of materials, at least here in the US. So I'm guessing with no absorbency, but rather just collection of blood, you'll find minimal risk of toxic shock. But I know this is still in the prototype stage. So how are you going to mitigate that risk?
So we actually going to because it's a polymer, we can add antibacterial coating. And so this is basically not only it's disposable. One of the biggest problems, there are a few cases for menstrual cup, reported cases for menstrual cup and TSS. And they are all associated with washing and sterilizing the cup after use. By the way, in Africa, there were a lot, as far as I understood, there were a lot of severe cases, because if you think about Africa as a continent, it's a great place to have menstrual cup because it's cheap. I always wonder why the government should give all the girls that are turning 12 or 10 a few menstrual cup, and this way they can continue going to school. And apparently they had a lot of problem with that from the hygiene point of view of the menstrual cup. So here, Tulipon is disposable. It's assembled within a clean environment. So it's clean. And also we are adding a bacterial coating, an antibacterial coating. So this is how we are totally, this is how we are planning to completely mitigate that. I wanted to say just one thing more. I don't know if you're probably aware of this. TSS is not something that you need to report to the CDC. And we, in our website, what we did, we have a memorial, a spot where we are collecting from the web all sort of articles about women who had TSS. We have their picture, we have a small story about them. And you can say, you're saying it's less because of the FDA regulation, but it still exists. And when people tell me this is minor, I say, tell that to the mother of a child that died at the age of 17 only because she was using tampons.
Yeah, well, and just for edification, TSS exists in the wild without tampon use. So it is endemic, but thankfully rare. My other question is this, because I'm sure your experience in Israel is different, but here, at least in my practice, menstrual cup use has not been fully adopted by a large majority of menstruating people. I think perhaps some of this is due to discomfort with the thought of inserting and removing a menstrual cup. Like you mentioned, the the mess factor until you get the hang of it so that you can empty it properly and without creating the law and order scene that you mentioned, which of course is hopefully not going to be the case. But, is this a widely accepted practice, compared to the US in your opinion?
Well, menstrual cup is getting bigger. Like 5 years ago, nobody, like every time I said menstrual cup, everybody would ask what? And today everybody knows what's a menstrual cup, even men, not only women, which is already a good thing. But you're right. In 2020, by the way, it's the first time that it passed the $1 billion worldwide limit for the first time. And obviously it's getting bigger. But it does have problems. Women needs to be able to insert fingers, and it does require some sort of getting dirty. It doesn't work for everyone. From our research, we actually recently found out that the menstrual cup has some limitation with the cervix. It doesn't work for everyone. If you have like long cervix, it doesn't work. This thing we are finding out just from experience, because there is no data available. We have to do everything by ourselves. And so in any case, this is, we are now solving not only a new hygiene device, we are also solving menstrual cup problem.
Yeah. In the US, it's very, very, I would say the younger generations are growing up learning about menstrual cups. They're particularly concerned with sustainability, and that is their real reason for wanting to engage in learning how to use a menstrual cup. The cost of tampons and pads can be great. I also feel that another alternative, which would be menstrual panties, which are gaining in popularity again with the younger crowd, especially those who are in school and might not feel comfortable going to the bathroom to change out their menstrual products. This has become popular, at least here in my world. But I could see that if these disposable and cups that require an applicator might be a lot easier than the traditional menstrual cups that are available now. So it's really a very novel idea.
So one of the questions I had, Hilla, is for people who are interested in this idea of a tampon and a menstrual cup that will be made of sustainable products. When should they be looking to the market to be able to buy this product?
It's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have a clear and cut answer. If it was up to me, I would say 2 years ago. But we are facing new arena. It's a blue ocean, if you like to call it. It's there are hardly any research about that we can use about the sizes of the vaginal cavity, the forces that you can find there. So basically, the changes from one woman to another, and the same woman go through different changes along the years. Yeah. She doesn't stay the same when she's 20 years old and when she's 40 years old. And as a B2C device, we have to accommodate everything. It's not like I can say, okay, this is only to XYZ, because it's impossible to figure this out. So these are kinds of the issues that we are facing. But every time we are doing tiptoes steps. And I really, really hope that within 2 years, we will be in the market.
So I have a question on a different area. So this isn't easy to collect. It's not absorbing the effluent. So is there an opportunity to use the effluent for diagnoses? I know there are companies looking at that to figure out, you have all this genetic biological material every month that we're disposing of, if you will. Is there a way to learn more about an individual's health or broader issues with women's health by looking at and evaluating and studying the effluent?
Yeah, definitely. This is basically my goal. My goal in Gals Bio is to erect a new branch in women's health where we are leveraging the vaginal cavity and the vaginal effluent to monitor and screen women's health. One of my pitch, usually I say, I would turn Eve's curse to Eve's blessing. Another example I like to give in Hebrew, the vaginal cavity, the meaning is a little purse. So we have this little purse in our body that goes with us everywhere, and it contains data. It contains a lot of things regarding our body, and by monitoring it over time on periodic incidents, we can learn so much about our body. And Tulipon, basically, it's a platform. It's a vaginal platform that we can put on it medication. We can put on it sensors. We can put on it biomarkers indication. And so having it as a new hygiene device is only the first step in a long, long road that I'm planning.
Well, I love that. I love the vaginal purse. We've medicalized this, and we call it the vagina and the menstrual flow, the fifth vital sign. So I think I'll start calling it the vaginal purse. It sounds better.
Well, thank you so much it's so exciting to hear about all the progress and literally the decades of thought and attention and research you've put into this. So we can't wait to see where you go with this product when it hits the market.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's the plug.
So thank you so much for your time and for listening.
Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast at businessofthev.com for the latest trends and trendsetters in women's health and business.